Joy family. Welcome to the Joyful House and welcome to my playground. This is episode number 23. Can you believe that we've already had 23 amazing weeks together in this new adventure segment? I tell you what, it has been great. I enjoy sharing with you a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes during the week, outside of all the other times we are on the forefront in lives and shorts and videos. So, I hope you've had a great weekend. I hope last week was wonderful for you. And in just a minute, we're going to recap what happened here in the Joyful House last week. But first, it is a new month. So let me welcome you not only to a month of November, but the week of November 3rd through the 9th, 2025. All right. So what happened last week in the Joyful House? Well, first off, I had some amazing play dates. So thank you to all of those who took a play date and came and shared some one-on-one time with me for an hour. Had a lot of fun and enjoyed that company. And if you haven't seen already, the play dates for November are already out on the community post. Many of you have already snagged some of those dates. So if you want to have a play date with yours truly, then go over and snag one of those before they are gone, because they are actually moving rather quickly. So exciting for me, but you don't want to miss out, especially since there's not as many this month with us having the holiday of Thanksgiving coming up at the end of the month. So definitely go grab one of those. So besides play dates, what's been happening? What happened in the Joyful House last week? Well, I did get commissioned to make a baby set, so I've begun working on that and do plan on showing that and any updates on it and what's left to go at our next tea party. And just a quick little insert, there is no tea party this Thursday, as it is the first Thursday of the month, and the first Thursday of the month, I always have a play date and a tea party with yours truly. And so, but happy to be sharing that with you next Thursday at 8:30. And I'm trying to remember the date for that. And that would be on the 13th. So November 13th will be our next tea party. And I will definitely show you the baby outfit that I'm working on and what I've got done and what I've got left to do. I've also worked on Stranger Things. And not quite as much as I would have liked, because there was a lot of other things that needed to be done here getting ready for Todd's mom to come home. I will come back to Stranger Things in a minute, because I'm going to make a promise to you guys that might make a very exciting playground next week. But yes, staying with crochet projects for the moment. I also finally got to pick back up my crochet heart. I did not get to do it at all the week before last week. So I finally got to pick it up over the weekend, and I did concentrate on working on that on Saturday and Sunday as we were hanging out together as family. So we'll be excited to get those updates going again for you next Saturday, which will be this coming Saturday, which will be November the 8th. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for the grace of missing 2 weeks on updates. Okay. Todd's mom came home. How exciting was that? But before that even happened, Wednesday, I got to spend another beautiful, beautiful day with my parents. I stayed up all night long Tuesday night. We'll tell you more about that in a minute. So by the time I got to their house, I was doing great, but as the afternoon started winding down, I got really, really tired. So they were very kind and let me lay down and take a nap for an hour. And then we got up and had a beautiful lunch. And then I got to spend the rest of the afternoon with them. And then I came home and had a play date that afternoon. A very wonderful, beautiful play date. And that kind of reels us into Friday. So Todd's mom came home, you guys, and it was a beautiful, beautiful reunion. She was so excited to be back in the house. She had forgotten what it looked like in some, places. So that was great. Sadie was over the moon. She was just so excited to see Todd's mom. Of course, Todd's mom was excited to see Sadie. And it was just so much. It was just like, I don't know, birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, everything just wrapped up all in one day. It was just filled with so many emotions. There were tears, they were happy tears, you know. And then we reminisced about Faye's roommate at the nursing home and how close they had gotten. And so I've made promises to her that we will definitely go back for little visits, and that on Mondays, I usually try to send out special little cards in the mail. And I told her that, you know, we could do that like maybe once a month. We could send a card over to Miss Nana, and that way she could have some communication that way as well. So very, very exciting. So that will be on our agenda for Miss Nana. Next Monday will be one of our cards. We didn't do a lot Saturday and Sunday because we were just kind of navigating through that adjustment period. I'm still taking Trayvon back and forth to work, which has been really good, except it gets really, really cold at night. So I am going out with a little bit of a jacket and a beanie on my head. It's really funny because I've been wearing a beanie almost every day. And this morning is like the first time I got up and didn't have one on. I had one on yesterday, and I went out to take Trayvon, and it fell down on the ground and got dirty. And so I don't think I put another one back on for Reel It In Sunday. But anyway, so you guys are going to start seeing more of my beanies that I have made over the years. I think that kind of wraps it up. Had a lot of scheduling of appointments. Faye has 2 outside appointments this week. Wednesday, she goes to the bone doctor for them to examine the hip and see how it has been healing over the last 4 weeks. And then Friday, she goes to her doctor just as a follow-up, you know, post leaving the, you know, nursing home rehab. And hopefully we will get her established with him as a patient going forward, so that we only have to take her right here locally versus having to drive her all the way to Columbia. So hoping to make that change. And then she's got a nurse that'll be coming in this week, and physical therapy twice a week as well. So she's got 5 appointments this week, 3 here in the Joyful House and 2 outside. So it's going to be a busy, busy week this week. All right, let's reverse back, or rewind, if you will, to, I mentioned Stranger Things. I am finally making progress. Since a lot of things happened last week, I didn't get to give as much time as I wanted to it, but definitely am devoting a lot of time to it this week. So I'm going to bring you some excitement, and every now and then I will take some video of the progress as it's being made. And whatever I have taken, I will share with you next Monday at our playground video. So exciting, exciting. You're going to get some sneak peeks into what's happening. So all those inquiring minds that have been asking me about the Stranger Things blanket, you're going to get to see the progress before the tutorials get out on the channel. Plus, that will motivate me to make sure that I am giving it time that it needs and deserves. Not to mention, I am so ready to be done with it. I'm so ready to bring our wheel back to the tea party so we can spin it and start another whip. Because once we get these whips off that wheel, then I get to start adding new projects that I've never done. And I'm so excited. Or working with yarn and trying to figure out the project. So very, very excited. All right, or you get to tell me what to make. So that's even more exciting. All right. I mentioned that I stayed up all night Tuesday. Why in the world would I do that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I am working on some things, and I'm very, very excited about next year and some things that are going to be happening next year. As many of you know, I've already mentioned that in the new year, I am starting a new segment, and It was going to be titled, I Bought the Yarn, Now What? Well, that is still happening. It is still starting in January, but I've decided to make that the slogan for that segment. I've bought the yarn, now what? So that's going to be the slogan. I've been wanting a title. It just seems like such a mouthful. So I've been wanting a title that's a little bit shorter. And so I've decided, what about, oh goodness, I just had it in my head. I can't believe it just went out of my head, but I am going back to check because I was on a play date talking about this and I mentioned it to someone and they actually sent it to me. Here we go. Craft Table Talks. Craft Table Talks. That still kind of sums up everything because it is going to be a teaching segment. It's not going to be like a social one. It's going to be more of a teaching segment. So Craft Table Talks. I might even do Craft Table Talks with Cynthia. But again, I don't want it getting too long. So you help me out. And if you help me out and leave your suggestion in the comment of this video, you will get an extra wheel entry. So should I do Craft Table Talks with Cynthia, or do you have a better suggestion? Now, to help you remember exactly what this segment's going to be about, it is being dedicated to my sister who wants to learn how to crochet and knit. It will mostly start off with mostly just crochet stuff. Knitting won't come in till probably later in the year or even maybe even 2027. I don't know. We'll just have to see how things unfold. But we're going to be starting off with crocheting. But it is dedicated to my sister and anyone who wants to learn how to do the art of crocheting, or just maybe needs reminders, or maybe have never even heard of a technique or suggestion that I have learned and I'm sharing. So it's going to be more of a teaching segment where we just sit around the craft table. Some of them may only be 15 minutes, some may be 30 minutes, some may be an hour. I'm going to be very, very shocked if they're ever that long. The goal is to keep them definitely 30-minute or less videos, but it's where it is just teaching one thing. For example, when we start off, we have to know a little bit about yarn. We have to know a little bit about hooks. We need to know what a chain is, the basic crochet stitches, single crochet, double, so forth, half double. So each segment will be only focused on one thing. So it's very short and very sweet. And that way, if you're looking for something, you'll be able to find it just by the title. But anyway, so let me know, Craft Table Talks with Cynthia, or do you have something better for this teachable segment? I would love your suggestions. And again, every time you give me a suggestion or a confirmation on the titles I've already given, you get an extra entry on the Tea Party wheel. Okay, that is that. Now, I'm also coming up with something new that will be starting in January and will last all year long with the Joy Team outside of their Monday lives. So definitely be staying tuned for that, but it's going to be called Joyful Creations with the Joy Team. So I will make a public announcement about it so that if you are not part of the Joy Team already, then you'll know what's going on and you can make a decision if you would like to join us. I do understand that not everybody can do financial donations. Obviously, with me not having a job right now, mine are very minimal as well. So I fully understand that. Many people have asked me what the lowest tier of the Joy Team is, and it is $2.99. So $2.99 will get you involved with all of this stuff that we are doing only through the Joy Team. And then there was one more thing I was working on. Oh, yes. I do plan on giving you more details about it after Thanksgiving, but let me just start dropping some little hints. It will involve a Santa sack of yarn that will go from the joyful house and bring joy to one of your houses. So that is something that I will be bringing to the entire channel and announcing right after Thanksgiving. So stay tuned. So I was busy all night long pulling all that together, working out details, and going ahead and making intros and outros and thumbnails and all of that so that when it is time to launch, it is all ready. So I'm very, very excited at the creative elements that are taking place in this joyful mind of mine. And I cannot wait to bring them to the joyful table, craft table, the joyful house, and into your wonderful homes. So stay tuned, my friends. All right. Something that I have been trying to do here in the Joyful House every time we're together, and why should an uploaded video be any different? What is the one thing that I want y'all to receive when you come to the Joyful House? If you said joy, that is right. So, if you will, let's take a moment and express our joy. Now that we are all full of joy and we've got our bodies moving, I want you to help me take some of that joy and do something that we've not done before on a playground video, but we are going to start doing it from here on out. And that is celebrating all the birthdays that are happening in our joyful family this week. And if you have a birthday that you are not sure if I know about, please let me know. You can find my email in the description box or on my about page, or you can leave a comment right here on this video, and we will definitely celebrate your birthday. Now, I understand and I respect that not everybody celebrates birthdays. So if you are one of those, then of course, obviously, you do not need to share it with me. But if you are someone that shares your birthday and celebrates it, then definitely make sure that I have it so that we can celebrate all week long on the week of your birthday. So this week in the Joyful House, there are 3 birthdays that I am aware of. And the first one is this Friday, November the 7th. Tosha Ramirez is celebrating her birthday. And if you'll remember, Tosha is my great friend that I've known for a long time here in Newberry. And she's the one that had the store that I was putting my things in until she closed shop. And now she is just having fun being a grandma and baking, crocheting, and just staying busy with her parents. But anyway, if you will, help me celebrate her lovely birthday. And then on Sunday, November the 9th, we have 2 birthdays. And one of them is Kim with Southern Winter, and the other one is Lori Armstrong. So happy birthday to Tosha, Kim, and Lori. If you will, help me join in singing happy birthday to the 3 of them. Welcome back. Thank you for helping me celebrate Tosha, Kim, and Lori's birthdays with them. Now, also something I've never done but want to start doing going forward is any kind of recognition that is happening here in the Joyful House. We definitely want to celebrate it as much as we can as well. And right now, I have 2 Joy Team members that are celebrating their second anniversaries on the Joy Team. That is 24 whole months of just continued love and support that they have brought here to the Joyful House. And so I would like to take this time to celebrate with them their 2-year anniversary on the Joy Team. So if you will, help me celebrate with Michelle and Paula. Happy anniversary, ladies. That was so much fun. I always enjoy celebrating others. And so it is fun to recognize their birthdays and recognize their channel anniversaries. Okay, now it is time to chase our fun. Are you ready to see what Annie has in store for us this week as we chase our fun? I am. But before we do that, we have to take a look at last week. Last week, she asked us to be an amateur at leadership. And so I started thinking back and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many ways that right here on the channel that, I have been used in leadership positions. Maybe it is working on a collab project, or maybe it's, leading a Bible study, or, taking charge over, movie night and having fun and playing games and over the questions. But all of those are certainly roles of leadership. But what are something that is maybe more significant? Sometimes when we do things, they're better off being left confidential. And the one that really comes to mind to me, I kind of feel that way. So I don't feel like I'm going to share the person's name, but I was in a live and someone was doing something and it was really starting to ruffle some feathers of some of the other chatters in the chat. And they began to express, words of frustration, maybe even a little hostility at times. But I got to thinking, here was a great example of me to, one, not only demonstrate leadership, but to be true to the person I am and the person I want to be. That's right. Because even though what I did is true to my character, sometimes my character gets their feathers ruffled and they can become easily frustrated. And so I want to grow more into the person that I was in that moment. In other words, I want to be that person every single time. I don't want to be someone that gets their feathers ruffled and then they got to ruffle someone else's feathers to make themselves feel better. Not to say that that was what was happening. I think people were just more frustrated. So long story short, I can't actually go into detail for the situation because then there'll be many of you that will know what I'm talking about. So I want to keep it just simplistic for the learning purpose of it. And this is the thing. This individual that didn't really realize how they were aggravating others, they are younger than I am. And, as someone who's a little bit older and been around the sun a lot longer than they have, this was a great opportunity for me to continue practicing what I preach in our play dates and kind of give words of encouragement and kind of explain why people were reacting the way they were. This individual always amazes me at their ability to take positive criticism with such joy and triumph. They hear and they listen and they accept and they do try to do better. And they always say, I'm so sorry, because their heart is so pure and does not mean to upset anyone or ruffle anyone's feathers. They are, in fact, probably what I would call inquisitive a lot of times. and trying to be in many places at one time and sometimes missing out and then wanting to inquire what they missed on. And I'm probably still giving way too much information. But the point of the matter is this, my friends. We've all been in positions where we have ruffled feathers. We've all been in positions where we have aggravated someone to no end, whether intentionally or unintentionally. But regardless of how old we are, young or old, we are here to love and support one another, to empower each other to be our very best. And what I kind of learned in this experience is, being an amateur at leadership, you have to try and navigate and figure out exactly the best way to say something to somebody, especially if it's difficult to say, because you don't then want to upset them or ruffle their feathers. So to make, as a leader, to make something teachable and to lead, you have to do it in a way that is encouraging. But you know what else I've learned in this experience of being an amateur at leadership is that oftentimes, even though you may be the leader that's leading, you are very much a student that is learning. And so as I was leading the chat, so to speak, and seeing that this person is still socially learning proper social etiquette, that we all can sometimes show a little bit more grace. But it really inspired me to be a better person at giving grace and being more self-aware of things that I may say or do that might offend or upset someone. And so not only am I looking to be a better leader, but I'm also learning to be a better follower, a better listener, and to be better at saying, I'm sorry. So if ever there is anyone here that I have ever offended, by all means, please take my sincerest apology and forgive me for overstepping any boundaries that I may have ever done, because certainly they were not intentional. I am definitely a work in progress. And as I continue to find myself in roles of leadership, I pray that I will always grab on to empowerment versus powerment. And so let's grow together. Let's be leaders together, because we are all leaders in some way, some fashion. Someone is always watching us and learning from us. So may we also be observant as well and learn from those around us that are our leaders. And leaders can be anyone. I mean, even a tiny little baby can lead us and teach us how to be just happy in the moment. Happy when someone talks and coos at us, or the love that we feel as an infant when we're being held. May we feel that same kind of love even when we're older, and definitely way too big to crawl up in someone's lap. All right, so moving on to this week, and I apologize for the long indulgence of that, but it was definitely a learning experience for me. And I think that's part of why I'm here. I think that's part of why we are doing what we're doing here on the playground and focusing on being better versions of ourselves week after week, with the joy word, which I hope you're checking out those joy words, not only to fill yourself with that word and move yourself into that place that allows you to be a better version of yourself, but to find that tranquility, to find that peace, to find that joy week after week. To learn more about who you are and, what truly makes you happy, what truly motivates you. That's the whole goal of those joy words, is to positively move you forward in a positive way that brings you just pure enlightenment, maybe about yourself, areas that need to be worked on, but also pure enjoyment, areas that you need to let yourself celebrate a little bit more. And that's how I feel about the playground and Annie helping us chase our fun. So this week, she says to be an amateur at learning. And how funny that I just said what I said. I had not looked ahead yet. I save it so that I am getting it just like you are. So how cool that is. Okay. Leonardo da Vinci says, learning never exhausts the mind. My favorite vacations are the ones where I rest and I learn. Whether it is at a wintry or a historic home, whether it is through a book or a guided tour, learning is incredibly fun. There are many things in life that we take too seriously. I agree, Annie. Do y'all not agree with Annie? We do take life sometimes way too seriously. And being called a learner fits into that category. Professional learners are important to the growth and flourishing of culture and communities. We need people who give their lives to understanding more than we know today, so their knowledge can help shape how we live. We learn from the past, we learn from new discoveries, we learn from the bottom of the ocean, we learn from outer space, and I thank God that there are people who spend their lives that way doing those things. But the majority of us, though, will not be professional learners, but we can be lifelong learners. We can develop a posture of curiosity about life and be confident that there are ways to get answers to our questions. Here are some things that Annie says she is learning right now. She said she's reading a book about a Palestinian family and learning about the lives of women in that culture. She says she's learning to juggle, although it is a slow learning because it is significantly harder than she expected. She says she is also learning about King David through her daily Bible reading. She says, I'm learning about racial reconciliation through some podcasts that she's listened to weekly. She says she's learning to walk a new trail in her local park because she just discovered it. And she's learning to cross-stitch on black fabric instead of white. Oh, wow. What a bold adventure that is. She says, I'm not full of knowledge about any of these subjects, and I'm not great at any of these skills yet, but I'm having a fun time learning. That's the permission we need to give ourselves. Permission to learn new things, new recipes, new facts, new skills. Allowing ourselves to be new and be uneducated and really enjoy the process of learning. Learning is worth making time for. Learning comes in lots of shapes and sizes and categories. Keep choosing it over and over in your spiritual, mental, and physical life. So, are you ready for our Chase the Fun challenge? All right. Are you ready to find out what our Chase the Fun challenge is this week from Annie? Well, here we go. What is one thing you are learning right now? What is one thing you are learning right now? I'm going to challenge you. If you will share in a comment below one thing that you are learning right now between now and next Monday, I will give you 2 extra entries on the wheel. So you have lots of ways that you can earn extra entries on that Tea Party giveaway wheel. 2, if you tell me one thing that you're learning. 1, if you help me with what I asked with the new segment coming out in January for the teaching segment. And then if you leave a comment that lets me know what you enjoy most about the playground videos. So you have an opportunity to earn up to 4 entries in this video. All right. That wraps up this segment of Welcome to My Playground. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Be joyful. Stay crafty in your own way. Make your own joyful creations and be the joy in everything you do. And I also want to remind you something. Hug yourself daily and then go hug someone else. That can be a teachable moment. All right. I love you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next week.